In the headlines, ISWAP abducts 5 Borno State government officials supervising Chibok-Damboa Road project. HIV infects 1 child every 2 minutes as world mark World AIDS Day. Unvaccinated civil servants barred from public buildings in Abuja as Omicron variant is detected in Nigeria. And away from Nigeria, EU proposes scaling back asylum rights for arrivals from Belarus. Hello and welcome to Trust News Hour on Trust Television. I am Dashan Husseina Usman. Now the news in detail. At least 5 officials of the Borno State government supervising a project have been abducted by Islamic State in West African province. The victims, who were supervising the construction of Chibok-Damboa Road, were forcefully taken away on Wednesday near Wovi, a remote village in Chibok local government area. Daily Trust reports that one of the abducted staff, a driver, escaped unhurt. On the occasion of World AIDS Day, the World Health Organization discloses that a total of 460,000 people were killed by AIDS, meaning that a shocking 1,300 people died every day in Africa, despite free access to effective treatment in the region. According to the National Agency for the Control of AIDS, Nigeria recorded 86,000 new HIV infections and 49,000 deaths from HIV-related illnesses in 2020, with an estimation of about 1.7 million people living with HIV/AIDS. Trust TV's Aisha Salihu completes the report.
World AIDS Day, celebrated December 1 every year to honor the people who have fallen to the disease, as well as people living with HIV. It is also celebrated to raise awareness on the disease and the need for people to know their status. The National Agency for the Control of AIDS in Nigeria says there is the availability of modern facilities to combat the disease among key population transmission.
In terms of new mode of treatment, apart from what we do now conventionally, where we give patients living with HIV drugs of multiple months, we call it multi-month dispensing. When they go, we don't see them until after 3 months, and that gives them significant break in terms of them frequenting hospital every month to take medication. So that one we're doing already. But one thing that has come up now and is practiced somewhere is the injectable HIV drugs. The injectable HIV drugs are drugs that are given every two months, and now it is looking like it's possible to give every three months in a year, meaning someone will show up at the clinic and take this injection like 4 times or 6 times, and that's all. And this is especially convenient for patients that feel uncomfortable taking pills every day, or that find it very, very difficult to adhere to the regimen of taking this drug on a daily basis.
The Society for Family Health, an intervention organization, highlights their core achievements in collaboration with a network of persons living with HIV and AIDS.
We work very closely with NEP1, the National Association of Network of People Living with HIV and AIDS. We've done a lot of work together. I just mentioned the Stigma Index survey. It was actually pioneered by SFH. And we provided technical support to NEP1 whilst they were doing, the most recent one that was funded by the Global Fund. We do a lot of, monitoring together to ensure that the quality of services that are provided are top-notch, and that nobody, gets, services that are not what it should be based on the national guideline. So we work very, very closely with the network of people living with HIV and AIDS, both at the national level and at the state level.
International health agencies urge global leaders and citizens to confront the inequalities that drive AIDS and to reach people who are currently not receiving essential HIV services. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Nigeria's Center for Disease Control says it has confirmed 2 cases of the Omicron COVID-19 variant in Nigeria. The NCDC Director General, Dr. Ifedayo Adetifa, in a statement, said the cases were discovered during routine travel tests required of all international travelers and genomic sequencing at the Nigerian Center for Disease Control through the National Reference Laboratory, Abuja. The development comes after Canada said it detected 2 cases of the variant from Nigerian travelers. Federal civil servants and people with businesses to attend to were reportedly prevented from accessing government buildings in Abuja on Wednesday over COVID-19 vaccination. All government officials who could not present proof of vaccination and negative PCR tests were stopped early this morning from gaining entrance to the Federal Secretariat. Trust TV's Nafisa Abdul-Al reports.
Following the announcement made by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and the Chairman of the Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19, Boss Mustafa, in October 2021, that all civil servants without proof of vaccination and negative polymerase chain reaction tests would not be allowed to access government buildings from December 1, 2021. The announcement was implemented Wednesday morning in Abuja as civil servants without proof of vaccination and negative polymerase chain reaction tests were prevented from accessing the Federal Secretariat.
Yes, this morning I entered here some minutes to 8, and then I found out that the security men, they were telling us that without our COVID-19 card, that we cannot enter our offices. So I was so terrified. I was thinking they were playing, but later on, I found out that they were serious. Though at the end of the whole thing, they allowed people, maybe around 11 or so. Yes.
Actually, today at the early hour of this morning, the civil servants were not allowed to go through their offices just because they gave them a warning of at least a deadline of yesterday for everybody to be vaccinated. But actually this morning they were not allowed to go into the office, and this is actually absurd because in times like this where everybody is finding a way to make impact, especially getting something to eat, and you're stopping people to go and be vaccinated. Go to the place they asked us to go and get our vaccine. You discover that the place is not even conducive. Apart from being conducive, you discover that the job, you cannot leave your boss in your office and go and start being vaccinated. So it's something that at least is supposed to give us at least from now to March, for us to be vaccinated. I'm surprised that just within a too short of time, and they are telling us nobody should go inside his office again. It's not, at least it's very absurd. The government should at least find a way, at least, to at least give us at least a time.
So the issue of COVID-19 preventing civil servants from entering the office is not good at all. Why? Because in some parts of the world, like in America, they are kicking against this COVID-19. They don't want people to be taking it because of the side effect, and they are now forcing our people to take it by force. I don't think it's wise for government to impose it on us that we must take it. After all, they have said the COVID-19 killed this, killed that. We have not seen it. We are not even sure that it's COVID-19 that killed those people they mentioned. That's what it's all about.
It is not the right decision because the vaccination, it shouldn't be by force. That is, if you are forcing somebody that doesn't want to do something and you ask him to do it by force, that is against human rights now. It's not fair.
The Association of Senior Civil Servants of Nigeria had, however, asked the federal government to extend the deadline till March 2022. Nafisa Abdelal, Chess TV News, Abuja.
President Muhammadu Buhari has underscored the need to enhance bilateral relations between South Africa and Nigeria to avoid unhealthy competition. The president stated this on Wednesday while receiving President Cyril Ramaphosa at the State House in Abuja. President Buhari, at the opening of the 10th session of Nigeria-South Africa Binational Commission held in his office, said such relations are necessary to evolve a bond that would be of benefit to both countries and the entire African continent. In his remark, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa appreciated Nigeria for extending a hand of friendship and said all African countries must work together to overcome challenges presented by a new COVID-19 Omicron variant.
Development, women and child empowerment, and political consultations, critical areas that will lead to increased people-to-people contact. Existing memorandums of understanding signed during previous binational commission meetings were also reviewed. These include memorandums of understanding on military cooperation, power, cooperation in the field of geology, mining and mineral processing, oil and gas, and several others.
Members of the media, of course, allow me to express my gratitude once again for receiving us so warmly here in Abuja. I think it is important that I emphasize this in the light of the discovery by South African scientists of the Omicron variant of the coronavirus and the subsequent imposition of extremely harsh and unfair travel restrictions on flights from and to South Africa, as well as on a number of other African countries. President Buhari, the solidarity expressed by yourself and the government of Nigeria sends the strongest message. It says that as African countries, we are standing united against the imposition of arbitrary and discriminatory restrictions that are not only unscientific, but counterproductive in the long run. Indeed, the leaders of Cote d'Ivoire, where we are traveling to later today, as well as the leaders of Ghana and Senegal, have also expressed their dissatisfaction with the travel ban against South Africa and our sister countries in Southern Africa. This is a global pandemic, and overcoming it requires that we collaborate and work together as a collective. The resulting damage to this travel ban to the economies of the countries affected will be considerable and long-lasting. So I want to use this opportunity to once again call on the countries who have imposed this ban to reverse their decisions, whether they are in the northern, more developed economies or in other parts of our continent and elsewhere.
The Nigerian Senate is asking the federal government to, as a matter of urgency, resuscitate the Nigerian Navy flagship fleet, NNS Aradu. NNS Aradu is an all-purpose fighting ship capable of undertaking various forms of warfare missions and is commissioned in 1982, but has been left largely unkempt over the years. The report.
The Nigerian naval flagship, NNS Aradu, is said to be one of the first of the MECO 360 general-purpose frigates commissioned in 1982. The need to resuscitate the naval warship caught the attention of lawmakers after a senator representing Rivers East, Thomas Sekibo, moved the motion this Wednesday. The motion, he said, is to enable the Nigerian Navy strengthen her capacity on surveillance on the high sea. The capacity of the frigate in undertaking anti-submaritime warfare, among other attributes, is said to be enormous. However, lack of maintenance culture has left it unkept. Senator Sekibo noted that the capacities of the frigate ensures that the Nigerian Navy continue to reach out to blue waters with the appropriate ships in terms of firepower and enhanced surveillance.
That of a truth, that Nigeria has no flagship on our seas today, and at lost our pride of dreaded sea power among the African nations. Understand that NS Aradu can be defeated either locally or internationally, or both, to give her 25 years extended lifespan or more.
Lawmakers who supported the motion believe the Nigerian can refit the ailing ship to take over her place in the naval formations on the African continent and the world at large.
$500 million will have been saved by the country for other purposes. It will have meant that this Senate has acted in the right way. And that is the additional reason as to why this motion is apt and timely at this time of our situation. I'm therefore urging my colleagues to look at the cost-benefit analysis to the nation, and then the operational advantage that the flagship offers to Nigerian Navy, and by extension to Nigerians in general.
Other ships of the same category and standard from other countries are still worthy, have not suffered what this particular flagship suffered. Ships of similar type, similar category, purchased by other countries in other are still serving, are still working, still worthy, performing the duty they're supposed to perform. But this one, 2 times has suffered serious degradation. The Senate should be able to ask questions, Mr. President.
To this end, the Senate has resolved to organize a stakeholders meeting to facilitate refitting and refurbishing of the NNS Aradu to carry out its role in servicing the Nigerian maritime domain.
You're still watching News Hour on Trust Television. Coming up after the break, how boat capsizes with 50 passengers. Do stay with us.
Get latest updates on current topical issues and breaking news by downloading the Trust TV mobile app on your Android devices. Go online, click Google Play Store, search Trust TV, install the app, and get doses of unfiltered information on happenings all over the world in your pocket. Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. You're still watching News Hour on Trust TV. Let's take a look at some of our top stories. At least 5 officials of the Borno state government supervising a project have been abducted by Islamic State in West Africa province. And United Nations Children's Fund says at least 300,000 children are newly infected with HIV in 2020, which translates to 1 child in every 2 minutes. Still ahead, residents of Osun State have been warned to desist from indulging in female circumcision so as not to run foul of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law. The VAP law was passed by the Osun Assembly in August with the advocacy efforts of the wife of the governor, Kafayat Oyetola, and other stakeholders. The law, which was signed by Governor Boyega Oyetola in October, strengthened the punishment for the practice of female genital mutilation with a 4-year jail term for violators.
In the state of Osun now, we have the law for every individual, most especially women and girls that are violated in any form. Like if you beat your wife, if you are not taking care of your children, if you abandon your home, if you have if you maltreat, any form of maltreatment, there is a law for it now in the state of Osun. And we are going on advocacy from one community to the other to let them know if there is any case of GBV in particular, they should know where to go to. The police station is there, the Ministry of Women Affairs is there. When you report, the judiciary will take off.
As part of efforts to reduce daily traffic congestion around Tanke area in Ilorin, the Kwara State government has concluded arrangement to construct a flyover bridge. The contract, which is worth over 2 billion naira, is expected to be completed within 12 months, while bypass roads will also be constructed to ease movement as the main bridge is being constructed. The report.
Tanke area in Ilorin South local government area of Kwara State is noted for higher traffic movement due to location of several schools and offices around the area. On daily basis, motorists spend better part of their time in traffic gridlock and has been telling on their missing or being late to work.
I have to park my car at home and take a bike because of the odor we always experience here every morning, and it's always terrible. Even it's just started now. By the time the odor come in a full pace now, you know that it's not easy. I think what the government can help us to do, if there can be an overhead bridge from this place, so that it will be very easier for people to be going up and down, then to a particular point where the odor will be.
It will be good if the government can try to create an access road. There are some access roads around this place, but they are not there. So that is why this place is always congested.
The complaints and advice of people are already being looked into with the outcome of the Executive Council meeting to construct a flyover bridge in the area. Briefing journalists after the meeting, the Commissioner for Education says the contract, worth over 2 billion naira, will be completed in 1 year to ease the traffic movement.
After listening to a presentation of the Honourable Commissioner for Works, including details of tender process, Cabinet has approved the award of contract for the construction of a flyover bridge at Pipeline Road Junction, Tanke Tipa Garage in Ilorin. The contract was awarded to a prominent local contractor, JMK Construction Company Limited, for 2,272,899,200 naira only. The completion period of the contract is 12 months. This facility, along with the ancillary road projects in the area, will help to address the current and anticipated traffic bottlenecks in that strategic transit point of the metropolis.
There is no doubt that there will be inconveniences for motorists while the project is ongoing, and the government is planning alternatives roads to be constructed.
Reservoir Road, it's on the side of the government school Tanke. There's a road there we are actually constructing now, and that road will terminate on Pipeline Road. Then from Pipeline Road, there's a Awolowo Road which we are also looking at rehabilitating. Awolowo Road will go all the way to Minaret and end at Mark Filling Station. On the side of Mark Filling Station, there's another road again there that will go down about 400 meters, then it's at a T-junction that will take you all the way to F Division Road. At F Division Road, we will take that road again. It will pass through Tanke Primary School all the way to the Pati Tanke Road. So these are other alternative roads that we look at doing.
When completed, the Tanke flyover will be the second in Kwara State, as the first one was constructed years ago by previous government at post office area.
About 50 passengers aboard a boat are feared dead after the boat capsized on Tuesday evening on the Bugwai River in Bugwai local government area of Kano State. The police spokesperson in Kano, Abdullahi Kiawa, who confirmed the incident, said 7 of the passengers in the boat were rescued during the accident. Among the passengers are Islamic school children going to an Islamic event in the local government's headquarters, as well as Islamia school children and other passengers from Badao village to Bugwai town, the council headquarters, on their way to Tofa local government area further ahead for the Maulud celebration. Trust TV's Idris Jibril visits Bugwai town where the incident happened and now reports.
Behind me is Badao village, where the victim are said to have been coming from. According to the resident here, even though there is another route down there that the people can easily follow and pass through to Bugwai township, but it's a bit difficult. This is the easiest way they can follow from that Badao village to Bugwai township. Now, I asked the people here, they told me that there are about 48 people inside the boats that capsized here, and that about 20 people have died, while some are still inside the water. Now, there are fire service officials around who are carrying out the rescue operation, but because of the nature of the water, the breeze that is blowing, they cannot enter inside the river as of now. They have to wait until late evening before they enter. In the meantime, there are at least 13 people inside this river that have not been found. So they are going to continue their struggle until they find the remaining people that are inside here. Few others are still in the hospital undertaking treatment here in Bugwai.
Federal government says it will engage youths of Ogoni land in environmental surveillance at the ongoing high prep cleanup sites. Minister of State for Environment Sharon Ikeazo stated this during a stakeholders meeting held in Bori, Kana local government area, Rivers State. The report. You're still watching Trust News Hour on Trust TV. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back. Federal government says it will engage youths of Ogoni land in environmental surveillance at the ongoing high prep cleanup sites. Here's the report.
State for Environment Sharon Ikeazo says there will be an health audit of Ogoni people to ascertain what interventions need to be done. Ikeazo assured that the Ministry of Environment will continue to engage the people of Ogoni and communities while also appealing for collaboration with all stakeholders to make the cleanup project a success.
And also, you call it security, I call it environmental surveillance on the issue of engaging our youth. We are putting the process in place to engage our youth to be the ones surveying and protecting all environmental sites where we're cleaning. So the more we have our young people take over the securing of these sites, the better for us.
Earlier, the chairman of Ogoni Supreme Council of Traditional Rulers, King Godwin Ginimwa, called for the establishment of a University of Environment in Ogoni land to serve as the center of excellence as recommended in the UNEP report. Also speaking, former president, Movement for the Survival of the Ogoni People, Ledo Mite, called for employment of youth in the project as well as training on skills.
Is that education is the key role of every development in the world. Our senator applied in the Senate, made a provision for University of Environment. And when we visited the president about 3 weeks ago, we mentioned it to him that we need a university in Ogoni. And he said when the assembly sent the report, he's going to approve it. But I'm quite sure now that the report has come to the president. Please tell the president that the Ogoni people who are in people want that university.
And now if we take these sites that 150,000 is being paid to about 500 youths for each of the areas they will be cleaned up, there will be some transformation. And it will help the security of the situation. We cannot have 1 billion being spent on our land or in our name, and we do not have what is 100 million transformation. So I feel that the challenge is how do we transform the amount of money being spent to the lives of our people.
The minister said her goal is to ensure that the cleanup project is owned by the Ogoni people and that more indigenous people acquire the required skills and ability to participate in the cleanup.
Primary school teachers in the Federal Capital Territory have suspended the strike they embarked upon on November 18, 2021. Teaching had been suspended over failure of the area councils in the FCT to implement their promotional allowances. On Wednesday, Chairman of the Nigerian Union of Teachers, Kubwa Chapter, Comrade Ame Baba, told Daily Trust that pupils were expected to resume classes immediately. The union had initially started with a 5-day warning strike, which elapsed on November 24 when its secondary schools wing suspended its own. Baba said the decision to halt the strike is achieved following an intervention made by the FCT Senator Philip Aduda and FCT Minister Muhammad Musa Bello. Lagos State Government has rejected the resolution of the Judicial Panel of Inquiry on restitution for victims of SARS-related abuses and other matters, which it said no fewer than 9 persons lost their lives when armed soldiers stormed the Lekki toll gate to disperse end-SARS protesters on October 20, 2020. This is contained in a 41-page white paper released by the state government on Tuesday night. The government countered the findings by the Justice Doris Okuobi-led panel recommendation, noting that only 3 of the bodies which post-mortem examination is conducted on is from Lekki and 1 had gunshot injury, among other reasons. The state government, however, said it would forward the recommendations made by the NSAS panel that disciplinary measures should be meted on military officers deployed to disperse protesters at the Lekki toll gate to the federal government's National Economic Council and the Nigerian Army. A federal high court sitting in Abuja upholds Chukwuma Soludo's election as governor-elect of Anambra State. The court, in a judgment delivered by Justice Taiwo on Wednesday, dismissed the suit that sought to invalidate Soludo's election on the allegation that he supplied false information to the Independent National Electoral Commission. The plaintiffs, Adindu Valentine and Egudike Chukwebuka, had in their suit alleged that Soludo lied in the affidavit which he submitted to INEC, claiming that Soludo Though Justice Taiwo dismissed the preliminary objection challenging the competence of the suit and jurisdiction of the court to hear the suit, he however held that the plaintiffs failed to establish that they had a reasonable cause of action, as well as failed to convince the court on how the alleged false information both Soludo and Ibezim supplied to INEC misled them. Meanwhile, candidates of All Progressives Congress, Senator Andy Uba and 10 other parties' candidates have finally filed petitions at the Anambra 2021 Governorship Election Petition Tribunal, challenging the declaration of All Progressives Grand Alliance candidate, Professor Charles Soludo, as winner. Let's join Chamunda Beng with business news.
Welcome to Business News on Trust TV. I am Chamun Dabeng. World Bank's country director for Nigeria, Shubham Chowdhury, says the National Assembly is yet to pass the World Bank's $500 million financing support to boost electricity distribution in Nigeria. On February 5th, the World Bank approved a $500 million support fund to improve electricity access by boosting the performance of the electricity distribution companies DISCOs through a large-scale metering program. The initiative is expected to ensure that Nigerian DISCOs make necessary investments to rehabilitate networks, install electric meters for more accurate customer billing, and to better the quality of service for those already connected to the grid. Ogun State Governor Dapo Abiodun says Nigeria and other members of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, AFCFTA, stand to gain from the agreement in the area of employment, wealth generation, food security, and poverty alleviation. The governor stated this at the 36th yearly general meeting of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, Ogun State branch held in Abeokuta. Speaking on transportation of raw materials and finished goods within and outside the state, he said there are plans to begin the construction of the Shagamu-Ogijo Road by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, using the tax credit scheme system. Governor of Lagos State Babajide Sanwo-Olu has commissioned a 480 housing unit of Lagos homes at Ibeshe. While commissioning the units, the governor stated that his administration has created 16,904 jobs through the construction work in various housing schemes. Governor Sanwo-Olu further said by the third anniversary of his administration, a total of 7,000 homes would have been delivered to the people, adding that the state government is also embarking on a partnership with private sectors to provide more housing needs of the people. Nigeria Customs Service NSC has since received delivery of the mobile scanners, and 2 months after the facilities is yet to be installed. The chairman of the Seaport Terminal Operators Association of Nigeria, STOAN, Vicky Hastrup, stated this in her paper presentation titled Impact of Automation and Cargo Handling Operation. She said the delay is also the main reason importers and agents troop to port daily, a situation that breeds corruption, adding that customs inefficiency is also responsible for overt 80% of the costs incurred by importers and agents at the seaports. However, the Comptroller General of NCS, Hamed Ali, represented by an Assistant Controller of Customs, Richards, in his presentation said efforts are being made to install the scanners. House of Representatives has adopted the report by the Committee on Communications on the Nigerian Postal Service Act Amendment Bill, which will create Nigerian Postal Commission and make the already existing Nigerian Postal Service an operator under it. The legislation, titled A Bill for an Act to Repeal the Nigerian Postal Service Act 2006, established the Nigeria Postal Commission to make comprehensive provision for the development and regulation of postal service and for other related matters. The proposed amendment will also retain NIPO's powers to collect stamp duty on behalf of the federal government. Oil marketers say the cost of premium motor spirit known as petrol may go higher than the projected 340 naira per litre in February 2022, when the federal government's subsidy removal finally takes place, while expressing worry over the fluctuation in foreign exchange rates and how it would impact on petrol price next year. Marketers urge the government to consider carrying out programs that would help ameliorate the plight to be faced by consumers when it eventually puts an end to petrol subsidy. However, both independent and major oil marketers are perfecting plans to resume PMS imports upon subsidy removal. That's all for business news. I am Chamun Dabin.
Speaker of the Economic Community of West African States Parliament, CD Tunis, has said that the Parliament will ensure that the 2022 budgets of ECOWAS institutions capture the priorities of the region. Tunis made this known on Tuesday in Abuja at the opening of the ECOWAS Parliament's 2021 ordinary session, which focused on the examination and adoption of the 2022 budget of the community. According to him, the Parliament is expected to listen to the draft budget presentation of ECOWAS institutions, give its opinion, and make proposals and amendments where necessary.
This session, otherwise known as a budget session, provides opportunity in accordance with the provisions of the Supplementary Act for Parliament to consider the community's budget. Specifically, the Parliament is expected to ensure that the estimates are directed towards programs that address the needs of the people. Here, I make specific reference to Article 17.2a, which states that after the consideration of the budget by the Administration and Finance Committee, AFC, the report of the AFC on the budget shall be presented to Parliament during the parliamentary budget session. In fulfillment of this statutory responsibility, we are expected to render opinion, including where necessary, proposals for the amendment to the draft community budget. As we position ourselves to perform this sacred task, I expect that we will translate the vision with which we approach this exercise into goals that are consistent with regional and global dynamics. Included in this process should be the formulation of policy framework and identification of sequential measures of structural change that need to be taken to achieve the overarching goals of sustainable growth and development. We should ensure that allocation of resources reflect real priorities. It is also not enough that the budget surmounts the immediate threats brought upon us by COVID-19. It should also advance efforts to make progress on other fronts and priorities which our region continues to value: democracy, rule of law, peace and conflict resolution, the fight against terrorism, poverty reduction, and climate change.
I'm happy to recall that in conformity with the relevant provisions, this session will be dedicated to examining the report of the Administration and Finance Committee on the 2022 budget. At the end of this sittings of the AFC, which is ongoing currently, you will be called upon to examine the draft budget of 2022 of a community. This draft budget will take into account the important institutional reforms as decided by their excellencies, the heads of states of our sub-region, and especially as it concerns a reduction in the operational cost of our institutions. You will notice the importance of this parliamentary session, which would help to set the tone for the objectives of the institutions through the credits that will be allocated to them, especially in the key sectors of health with the fight against COVID-19, as well as the social and economic development sector of our sub-region. I would like to assure you that this draft budget of 2022 is coming at a time of great attention, especially with premium placed on judicious use of resources. Indeed, a number of protocols and texts in the various sectors of intervention of ECOWAS will be submitted to you for your consideration and adoption. As in the previous years, the ECOWAS, the commissioners of ECOWAS will be available to you to bring every possible information and shed light on whatever questions you may have.
Here's news from the foreign scene.
European Union Commission is pushing for Poland, Lithuania and Latvia to have more time to weigh asylum claims amid migration crisis. The Commission's proposal comes as the EU accuses Belarus of flying in thousands of refugees and asylum seekers and pushing them to cross into the bloc in response to Western sanctions imposed on Minsk. If passed, Wednesday's proposal by the European Commission will allow national authorities in Poland, Lithuania and Latvia more time to register and consider asylum claims, potentially leading to people being held at basic reception centers along the EU's external frontiers for months on end. Tensions between Russia and the United States have further soured, with Moscow moving to expel United States diplomats. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zarova said on Wednesday that the U.S. Embassy staff who have been in Moscow for more than 3 years are being ordered to fly home by January 31. The development comes ahead of an anticipated meeting between U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov on the sidelines of the Organization for Security and Cooperation on Europe (OSCE) summit in Stockholm on Thursday, and against the backdrop of Washington-led NATO talks on Ukraine. U.S. Embassy in Moscow is the last operational U.S. mission in the country, which has shrunk to 120 staff from about 1,200 in early 2017. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen says it is time to think about mandatory vaccination amid the fast-spreading Omicron coronavirus variant. Ursula on Wednesday said a common approach on vaccination is needed, although only individual member states can impose vaccine mandates. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia has confirmed its first case of the new Omicron coronavirus variant as countries tighten restrictions on international travel in an attempt to slow its spread. Scientists have been scrambling to learn more about the effects of the Omicron variant first detected in South Africa last week. Meanwhile, nations have rushed to impose travel restrictions, especially on visitors coming from Southern Africa, despite the World Health Organization's call for rational measures in response to the new strain. Germany has reported the highest number of deaths from coronavirus since mid-February, as hospitals warned that the country could have 6,000 people in intensive care by Christmas, more than the peak of last winter. Germany's infectious disease agency reported 67,186 new cases on Wednesday, which is up by 302 from a week ago, and 446 deaths, the highest daily figure since February 18, bringing the overall death toll to 101,790. Germany's federal and regional governments agreed on Tuesday to take action to counter the fourth wave of COVID-19, including stepping up the vaccination campaign and restricting contact, especially for unvaccinated people. Already criticized by scientists for acting too late, the leaders agreed to take firm decisions on Thursday on proposals such as forcing customers to show proof of vaccination or recovery in shops and limiting number of people at big events.
Deputy Chief Imam of Oshogbo, the Osun State capital, Sheikh Harun Samoni Gogo, has died at the age of 87. Sheikh Adediran died in a hospital in Oshogbo in the early hours of Wednesday after a brief illness. Mourners have been trooping to his residence at Isale Oshogbo to sympathize with his family. Funeral prayers for the late Deputy Chief Imam held at Oshogbo Central Mosque is attended by a huge crowd of Muslims from all parts of the state, after which his remains were buried at the Morkas, his Arabic school. Mourners paid glowing tributes to the late cleric, applauding his good deeds during his lifetime.
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar!
Let's join Adeni Ajishafe on latest sports news.
Hello and welcome to Sport News. Sensational Stars completed their 100% winning run after a 2-1 defeat to rivals Bayero FC in Group J Matchday 4 in the Federal Capital Territory FA League. Table toppers had defeated Great Otisco 2-0 in their first match before handing a 3-2 defeat to Besi Maracana. Great Otisco, on the other hand, ended the first round with 7-point winning 2 and drew 1 match to pick the second ticket. Meanwhile, defending champions Waco FC and Unified FC finished Group A with 10 points apiece in 4 matches to progress to the second round, while Future Guarantee are the only team in Group B who have successfully guaranteed the second round ticket. In Group C, J1 have qualified for the second round with a game to spare as Ejiomi FC, who has completed its group games, and Royal FC slug it out for the second ticket. Ejiomi FC garnered 6 points in 4 games, while Royal FC with 5 points. In 3 matches, we have to win the last match to stand a chance of outsmarting Ejiomi for the second round. Hovel Prime FC, Kasmat in Group E and F have qualified with maximum 9 points in 3 games. Abuja Metro with 8 points in 4 games in Group G, and FC Liberty in Group H have also booked their tickets in the second phase of the FCT FA League. HB Academy completed the number of clubs that have secured their passage to the next round. Nigeria international table tennis star Aruna Quadri's feat at the just concluded ITTF World Championship have yielded positive result as he moved up in the latest ranking released by ITTF. He broke all odds to secure a quarter-final ticket at the expense of the much-established opponent, but put up an amazing performance that earned him a quarter-final spot in Houston, Texas, United States. The International Table Tennis Body released the latest ranking, and Quadri moved up to 13th position with 5,538 points in the world as against the 17th position he was placed before the competition. Aruna Quadri remained the highest ranked African player on the ranking table. Aruna has also continued to raise the bar for other African players to emulate with his superlative performance at major competitions, which has also earned him a place among the top 20 players invited for the 2021 World Table Tennis WTTF Cup Finals scheduled for December 4 to 7 in Singapore. 2021 World Championship runners-up Troll Morigard of Sweden has become the biggest mover on the latest ITTF ranking as the 19-year-old moved from 77th spot to 31st in the ranking, while newly crowned world champion Fan Zhendong of China head on to the top spot in the ranking. Nigeria's para-powerlifting star Lucy Ejike claimed gold medal in the 67-kilogram event at the 2021 para-powerlifting in Tbilisi, Georgia. Captain of Team Nigeria to Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games, Ejike dumped China's Yu Jiaotan to the second position. With the win, she equaled her third gold medals at the Paralympic Games. In the UFC fight, Conor McGregor has hinted that Kamaru Usman's welterweight title is part of his plans, as he now appears to fancy stepping into the welterweight title division, currently held by Kamaru Usman, and claimed Colby Covington was unlucky not to beat the Nigerian Nightmare at UFC 268. UFC President Dana White recently called Usman the greatest welterweight ever when he defeated Covington and improved his record to 21 as a professional mixed martial arts fighter. Usman will release the opportunity to silence the Irishman and further put himself as one of the greatest ever fighters in the sport. McGregor has not been in the octagon since he suffered a horror leg break in July this year during his trilogy fight with Dustin Poirier. That's sport news. I am Adeniyi Ajishafe.
Before we go, here's a kicker. Bumper harvest in Bangladesh has put smiles particularly for farmers in Manigani district, northwest of capital Dhaka. Despite the extra work that all this bounty demands, it is exceptionally good for these farmers of beans, cauliflower, eggplant, gourds, green chili pepper, tomatoes, radishes, and tomatoes. Take a look.
It has been an exceptionally good autumn for farmers in Bangladesh. Many farmers say that the excellent harvests of these particularly profitable early winter crops can be attributed to the Chinese for their help in high-yield seeds and proper pest control.
এবার ফসল খুব ভালো হয়েছে খুব ভালো হচ্ছে আল্লাহ
এটা চাইনিজ ক্যাসেটিয়া মূলা এই মূলা বুনে ইনশাআল্লাহ আমি অনেক লাভবান হয়েছি 30 থেকে 35 দিনে মূলা ইনশাআল্লাহ তুলে বিক্রি করা যায়
আমার নাম মোহাম্মদ হামিদুর রহমান খান আমার বাড়ি চরাদিনপুর সিংগাইর থানা জেলা মানিকগঞ্জ আমি আমার এই প্লটে 150% জমি আছে আমি সারা বছরই সবজি ক্ষেতের উপর নির্ভরশীল এই বছর আমি আবাদ করছি আপনার শ্রীচন্দন যেটা কি বলে শ্রী সেটা 28-29%। শ্রীচন্দনে গেলে কিন্তু সবই চাইনিজ বীজ আমি বপন করছি সবই টমেটো মিষ্টি কুমড়া পানিলাউ এগুলো সমস্তই কিন্তু চাইনিজ বীজ বপন করছি সারও আমি চাইনিজ ব্যবহার করি এবং কীটনাশকও চাইনিজ ব্যবহার করি
KSM Mostafizur Rahman is Managing Director of National Agri Care Group, one of the country's biggest importers of pesticides, micronutrients and growth regulators.
We have started our business back in 2002. At that time, I selected China because they have so many competitive advantages in terms of price, in terms of hospitality, cooperation. In all aspects, I found it is good, just good. Then I have started my agrochemicals business, and during this last 2 decades, with the cooperation of Chinese private company, government, and all my friends, associates, my company day by day becoming bigger, and now it is one of the largest agrochemicals company, national agri-care in our country. That is the driving force to develop our economy with the help of Chinese private and public sector partnership with Bangladeshi private and public sector businessmen.
We've come to the end of News Hour. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Darshan Hosseina Usman. Thanks for watching.